the early 1990s, Mercedes-Benz built a machine that would change touring car racing forever. This is the 190e February 5, 16 Evolution 2, a car born for homologation, engineered for dominance and designed to intimidate. At first glance, the Evo 2 looks extreme, and that's because it is. The massive adjustable rear wing, aggressive front splitter, widened arches, and deep side skirts weren't for show. Every panel served a purpose. Aerodynamics were pushed to the limit under Group A regulations, turning a compact executive sedan into a full-blown racing weapon. Under the bonnet sat a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter inline-4 engine, developed with Cosworth. In DTM race trim, it produced well over 350 horsepower and revved beyond 9,000 revolutions per minute. No turbochargers, no hybrid systems. Just raw, high-revving precision. The sound was sharp, mechanical, and unmistakably motorsport. Power was sent through a dogleg gearbox to the rear wheels, delivering razor-sharp response and total driver engagement. On track, the Evo 2 was aggressive but balanced, a car that demanded skill and rewarded commitment. In 1992, it reached its peak. Mercedes secured the DTM championship, cementing the Evo 2 status as a touring car icon. It wasn't just competitive, it was dominant. Only 502 road-going homologation versions were built, making it instantly collectible. Even today, it remains one of the most valuable and desirable performance Mercedes models ever produced. The 190e Evo 2 isn't just a race car. It's a symbol of an era when manufacturers pushed regulations to the edge. No compromises, no shortcuts. Just engineering ambition and pure racing focus. Wide, loud, and unapologetically aggressive, the Evo 2 represents Mercedes at its most fearless. In the mid-1990s, touring car racing entered its most technologically advanced era. And at the center of it stood the Mercedes-Benz C-Class DTM, a machine that combined Formula One-level engineering with the silhouette of a compact executive sedan. Based on the W202 C-Class, this was no ordinary touring car. Under the aggressive bodywork sat a highly sophisticated chassis developed for the new Class 1 regulations. Carbon fiber components, advanced aerodynamics, and cutting-edge electronics transformed the C-Class into one of the most complex racing machines of its time. Power came from a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter V6 engine producing around 450 horsepower. High-revving, razor-sharp, and incredibly responsive, the engine delivered power to all four wheels through a sequential gearbox. Yes, four-wheel drive. Combined with active differentials and advanced suspension systems, the C-Class DTM had grip levels unheard of in touring car racing. The aerodynamics were equally extreme. Wide arches, aggressive front splitters, and large rear wings weren't just visual drama, they generated serious downforce. At speed, the car was planted, precise, and relentless through corners. Between 1994 and 1996, the C-Class DTM became a championship-winning weapon. It secured multiple drivers' and manufacturers' titles, proving Mercedes could dominate not just with power, but with technical innovation. This was an era where budgets soared and technology pushed boundaries. The C-Class DTM represented peak 90s touring car engineering, complex, expensive, and brutally fast. It blurred the line between touring car and prototype racer. When the Class 1 era ended, it marked the close of one of the most advanced periods in DTM history. But the legacy of the W202 C-Class DTM remains clear. It wasn't just competitive, it was revolutionary, a car that proved Mercedes-Benz could out-engineer, out-develop, and outrace the competition at the highest level. In the year 2000, the DTM Championship was reborn. New regulations, new rivalries, and a new era of touring car warfare. And leading the charge for Mercedes-Benz was the CLK DTM, a purpose-built racing machine wrapped in the silhouette of a luxury coupe. Based loosely on the C208 Clerk road car, the DTM version was anything but standard. Beneath the carbon fiber body panels sat a tubular space frame chassis designed purely for racing. Wide arches, an aggressive front splitter, deep side skirts, and a towering rear wing created serious aerodynamic downforce, turning the sleek CLK shape into a track-focused weapon. Power came from a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter V8 engine producing around 460 horsepower. High-revving, brutally responsive, and paired to a sequential gearbox, The CLK DTM delivered explosive acceleration and a raw mechanical soundtrack that defined early 2000s touring car racing. Rear-wheel drive, lightweight construction, and precise suspension tuning gave the CLK sharp turn-in and strong traction out of corners. It was balanced, aggressive, and incredibly competitive from the very beginning. And the results followed. Mercedes secured the Drivers' Championship in 2000, marking a dominant return to the newly restructured DTM. The CLK DTM established Mercedes as a force in the modern era and set the foundation for future championship success. But its legacy didn't stop on the track. The extreme performance of the race car inspired one of the most outrageous road cars ever built, the CLK DTM AMG, further cementing its place in Mercedes performance history. The CLK DTM represents the moment Mercedes reasserted dominance in touring car racing. It wasn't just a comeback car, it was a statement. Focused, powerful, and engineered with precision, it defined the beginning of a new DTM generation. Aggressive, loud, purpose-built. The Mercedes-Benz CLK DTM remains one of the most important race cars of the modern DTM era. By 2007, the DTM Championship had evolved into one of the most competitive touring car series in the world. And Mercedes-Benz responded with a machine built for precision, aggression, and consistency, the C-Class DTM based on the W204 generation. At first glance, it carried the familiar shape of a road-going C-Class. But underneath, this was a pure racing prototype. A carbon fiber body wrapped around a rigid steel space frame chassis, engineered for maximum rigidity and safety. The wide arches, aggressive front splitter, sculpted side skirts, and massive rear wing weren't cosmetic. They were essential for generating downforce and high-speed stability. Under the bonnet sat a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter V8 engine, producing roughly 500 horsepower. High revving and brutally responsive, the engine delivered power exclusively to the rear wheels through a 6-speed sequential gearbox. No traction control, no driver aids, just mechanical grip and driver skill. The W204 C-Class DTM was known for its balance. Precise steering, controlled body movement, and predictable handling made it a weapon in both qualifying and race conditions. On tight circuits and high-speed tracks alike, it delivered consistent performance. Between 2007 and 2011, this car secured multiple race wins and championship titles, becoming one of the most successful Mercedes DTM machines of the modern era. It represented the peak of the naturally aspirated V8 DTM formula, loud, raw, and incredibly physical to drive. This was a period when DTM cars were brutally fast yet still demanded total commitment from the driver. The C-Class DTM required precision braking, perfect throttle control, and fearless corner entry. The DTM Championship had entered its most refined and aggressive modern era. And Mercedes-AMG answered with a machine built to dominate, the C63 DTM based on the C205 platform. At first glance, it wore the silhouette of a C-Class coupe. But underneath it was a pure racing prototype. A carbon fiber monocoque chassis replaced the road car structure, engineered for maximum stiffness, lightweight construction, and safety. Every panel was shaped for aerodynamic efficiency, from the aggressive front splitter to the sculpted side channels and towering rear wing. Power came from a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter V8 engine, producing around 500 horsepower. High revving and brutally loud, the engine delivered instantaneous throttle response through a 6-speed sequential gearbox to the rear wheels. No turbochargers, no hybrid assistance. Just raw mechanical performance at over 9,000 revolutions per minute. The aerodynamics were constantly refined throughout the 2016 to 2018 seasons. Adjustable rear wings, advanced diffusers, and precise airflow management allowed the C63 DTM to generate enormous downforce, giving it incredible cornering speed and stability under heavy braking. On track, the C63 DTM was sharp, aggressive, and demanding. Drivers had to manage tire degradation, brake temperatures, and aerodynamic balance with precision. Every lap required full concentration. This was racing at its most intense. In 2018, Mercedes closed its factory DTM chapter in style, securing both the drivers' and manufacturers' championships. It was the perfect farewell to a 30-year legacy in the series. The Mercedes-AMG C63 DTM represents the end of an era, the final naturally aspirated V8 DTM car from Mercedes. Loud, fast, and engineered without compromise, it stands as one of the most complete touring cars ever built. A true modern motorsport icon, and the closing statement of Mercedes-AMG in DTM competition.